In this video, we'll be looking at 3 key elements that can make giving instructions more accessible for your learners. First, we'll look at grading your language. Grading your language means thinking about what language you use in the classroom and adjusting it to make it suitable for your learners. The way you grade your language will depend on the English language proficiency of your learner. For example, how you adjust your language for learners who are new to English or at the early acquisition stage will differ to how you grade your language for a learner who is competent. Grading your language helps learners to clearly understand what it is that they need to do without getting lost in a sea of words. Look at this example of some instructions given in a science lesson. I'll give you a moment to read them. This would be difficult to understand for a learner who is new to English, at the early acquisition stage, and likely a learner who is developing competence. It is difficult because it uses complex grammar, long waffly sentences, phrasal verbs, and colloquial language. To grade your language, it's best to avoid these things. Let's look at how we could grade these instructions to make them more accessible. Take a moment to read the graded instructions. To grade your language, use short sentences. Be concise and use imperatives to make the instructions clear. This eliminates an extra or unnecessary language that can cause learners difficulty in accessing instructions. Let's look at staging instructions now. Staging instructions means breaking down longer instructions into smaller, more manageable chunks. It also means giving instructions in the order that you want learners to do them. For example, if you say, speak to your partner about what happens in the water cycle after you finish reading the text, there are 2 tasks here. First, learners need to finish reading the text, then they speak to their partner. Therefore, it's helpful for learners if you give the information in sequential order. For instance, read the text and then talk to your partner about what happens in the water cycle. Sometimes, what seems like one long instruction can actually be several different instructions. Longer instructions may overwhelm your learner with too much information. If instructions are not staged or separated out, it's likely that the learner will miss something. You can solve this by staging and separating out the instructions. Think about how many things you want a learner to do and then give them one instruction at a time. Turn to page 75, look at the diagram about rock formation, then label it and make notes in your books. Giving learners a written copy of the instructions allows them to refer to them or perhaps ask someone else for help with translation if they are not sure what to do. It's also a good idea to stage these too. Lastly, let's look at checking understanding. Checking understanding means making sure that your learner has understood the instructions and knows what to do. Checking instructions is important to do as learners might not tell you that they don't understand. Sometimes this is to save face or embarrassment, and other times it's because they think they've understood, but in reality they may not have understood everything that you wanted to communicate. Asking, do you understand, is not helpful because learners might say yes for the reasons we've just seen. Asking learners to explain what to do may be difficult if the learner does not have the language proficiency to explain the task. This does not necessarily mean they haven't understood, but that they can't explain it back to you. Therefore, it's best not to ask, do you understand, or what do you need to do? Instead, use closed questions or short answer questions, as these allow you to concisely check understanding and don't require an extended answer from the learner. You might want to prepare these before class so that they are ready to go. In summary, we've considered how you can grade your language, stage instructions, and check understanding in order to make your instructions more accessible for learners at different levels of proficiency in English. Thank you for watching. For more EAL strategies, please visit the Great Ideas pages on the Bell Foundation website.